Hello, everyone. Welcome to the session of Morphology of Flowering Plants Theory Part 4. So, this is going to be our fourth lecture from this chapter, and we're going to cover up the NCRT section 5.6 and 5.7. Okay, disclaimer. So, let us see the learning objective of today's session. To understand the development and the structure of fruits. So today we are going to understand how the fruits are formed, what is its structure and how it got developed. So we are going to see the details of this, how we are going to solve, how we are going to see the structure and the development of the fruits. Another topic, classify the different types of fruits, true and false, right? So we will see that what is the true type of fruits and what is the false type of fruits that we are going to see today. And you can able to identify such type of fruits, right? Identify the parts of seeds and their function. You will be able to see the different parts of the seeds, and there are the two different types of seeds, the monocot and dicot. So that also you will be able to see and identify in your daily life that which is the monocot and which is the dicot type of seeds. Okay, the index part, the fruit, that is the 5.6 section of your NCRT. 5.6 section of the NCRT. And seed, that is the 5.7 section of the NCRT book. This is the 5.7 seed, and in that we will see the structure of the dicotyledonous seeds, that is the 5.7.1 section, and also the structure of the dicotyledonous seeds, that is the 5.7.2 section. Okay, so all that we are going to see today. At the end, we will summarize today's lecture, and there will be some in-text questions, some questions from the NCRT. There will be the keynotes and also some interesting question that you are going to solve with your own. Okay, so let us start today's session. First of all, we will discuss about the fruits. Okay, so what are fruits? The fruit is a characteristic feature of the flowering plants. So where you see the fruits, formation of fruits, in the angiosperms, that is a flowering plant. In the flowering plant, right? Not in the gymnosperm, not in the pteridophytes, bryophytes or algae. These are all comes under the plant kingdom, right? But where you see the formation of fruits, in the case of angiosperm only, right? So fruit is a characteristic feature of the flowering plant. That is why this line came here. This is the characteristic feature of the flowering plant, because the formation of fruit we see in the case of angiosperms only. Okay. It is a mature or ripened ovary developed after the fertilization. So what happens after fertilization? What happens after fertilization? What are the changes we see in the case of flower? First of all, after the fertilization, the flower wither away. Wither away means slowly and slowly the parts of flower like sepals, petals, androecium, that falls off, that dry and wither away or falls off. Okay. And the only part that is attached to the thalamus, that will be the ovary. That will be the ovary. Okay. So what is ovary actually? What is ovary? It is a mature or ripened ovary. The fruit is a mature or ripened ovary. So after fertilization, the ovary is only intact to the thalamus. Only the ovary part is intact to the thalamus. whereas the other parts falls off or the wither away. So slowly and slowly, the ovary becomes mature and it becomes ripened. How it becomes? Because after fertilization, in the case of angiosperm, the ovary becomes the storing organ of food. The extra food material that plants synthesize is transport to the fruit, and there you see the swelling of the ovary or the increase the size of the ovary started. It takes place. Okay, and that is what that is showing the increase in the size of the ovary. So that only happened after fertilization. Slowly and slowly the ovary become mature and it ripened, and that gives you the form of fruit. So that is the fruit, right? If a fruit is formed without fertilization of the ovary, it is called as parthenocarpic fruit. Parthenocarpic fruit. So what is parthenocarpic fruit? The parthenocarpic fruit is a type of fruit in which no seeds are formed. Okay? No seeds are formed. Why? Because the fertilization is not taken place. You all know that what is present inside the ovary. What is present inside the ovary? Ovules. Ovules. And inside the ovule, there is an embryo sac. Inside the ovule, there is an embryo sac. Female gametophyte, the egg is there. You all know egg cells, synergid cells, antipodal cells, central cell. That is the embryo sac. And that is present inside the ovule only, right? But only after fertilization this whole true fruits formation takes place. But in the case of parthenocarpic fruit, in the case of parthenocarpic fruit, how it is formed? How the parthenocarpic fruit is formed? It is formed by it is type of asexual reproduction. Seedless fruit without fertilization. Okay? And why they are formed? Why they are formed? So there are some of the fruits. There you see there is an some hormones that promotes the formation of parthenocarpic fruit naturally. Whereas you can also induce parthenocarpic fruit in your horticulture. Okay? Okay. Now, there are some of the fruits in which you see the parthenocarpic fruit, like banana. Naturally, you don't see any seeds in the case of banana, do you? Never, right? So, parthenocarpic, this is one of the natural parthenocarpic fruit, banana. There is another example, pineapple, cucumber. Cucumber. In case of cucumber, you see the induced one. That is done by the human, right? Induced. Then we are having the tomato, figs, oranges, grapes, kiwi, blackberry, and pepper. Okay, so these are some of the fruits in which we see there is a formation of parthenocarpic fruit, means the formation of fruit without fertilization. And if there is no fertilization in the flower and formation of fruit takes place, then such fruit will not have any seeds, and that type of fruit is having great commercial value in the market because people will prefer eating those fruit that are not having any seeds in it. Any seeds in it. Yes, mangoes also, they are also produced. Mangoes are also produced by same technique only. You are having some hormones. You can induce the formation of fruit without fertilization. So with the help of hormone, you can induce the formation of fruit. See what happened after the fertilization. Some of the hormones are produced inside the ovary and that begins the formation of fruit. But it also happened without fertilization. Okay? Only the presence of that hormone should be there. So that is done by the horticulturist, mean the people who are involved in the horticulture. So they generally do that, right? Okay. Okay. So if a fruit is formed without fertilization of the ovary, that is called as parthenocarpic fruit. I gave you some of the examples. Again, I'm repeating that. Banana are there. Pineapples are there. It will be very difficult to eat seeds with banana. Can you imagine? Eating banana with the seeds? Very difficult, right? And also pineapples. Though if you see minutely in the banana, in the center, you will see small black or dark brown minute seeds, but that seeds are not viable. They cannot produce the new plants. That are not viable seeds. Okay, that is the remnants of the ovule. That is the remnant of the ovule. Okay. Okay. So I'm again giving that examples. uh Bananas are there, pineapples are there, cucumber, tomato, fig. Fig is a very important plant. Fig is a very important plant. Oranges, grapes, kiwi, blackberry and pepper. You can find it at your home. Okay, you can google also that why fig is such an important plant. Okay, you have to find out that. Note down. Okay, moving to our next point. You can see this is the parthenocarpic fruit, oranges that is not having any seeds. So imagine you are eating oranges without any seeds. It will be easy to eat, right? And if they are having seeds, every time you have to take out the seed from your mouth, right? So people also want parthenocarpic fruit. It is in a great demand in the commercial market. Okay. Generally, the fruit consists of a wall or a pericarp and seeds. If you see the fruit, what you see outside, it is having a wall. It is having a wall, and that wall is called as pericarp. That is, that wall is called as pericarp. And inside the fruit, what is there? Seeds. Okay, just imagine that there is a fruit and it is having a wall. Its wall is called as pericarp. Its wall is called as pericarp. And pericarp may be dry or fleshy. Very important. It means that wall of the fruit can be dry or fleshy. And you can divide whole wall of the fruit, or you can say the pericarp can be divided into epicarp, mesocarp, endocarp, right? So the wall of the ovary now becomes the wall of the fruit, and the wall is called as pericarp. Now the pericarp can be divided into three different parts. The outer one, the outer one, that is called as epicarp. The the middle one, that is called as mesocarp, and the innermost wall, that is called as endocarp. They develop from the monocarpellary superior ovaries and are one seeded. The fruits, now see the fruits, they are monocarpellary. Monocarpellary means only one carpel is there. So one carpel, one ovary. Okay, one carpel, one ovary. And superior ovaries. Now you imagine superior ovary. Why they are calling this ovary as a superior? Because the position of the ovary is at the top of the thalamus or the receptacle. It is present at the top position, and all the floral parts are present below this. Below this, yes, the ovary is present above the thalamus, whereas the other floral parts are coming below this part, right? And it is one seeded, right? And such superior ovaries where all the floral parts are present below it are called as hypogynous. Very good, hypogynous. So here you can see this is the mango. This is the mango and this is the coconut. See this figure very keenly. Hmm? So pericarp was this unitedly it is called as epicarp, mesocarp and endocarp. So outermost of the wall, that is called as epicarp. While eating mango, you take out that particular part, right? You take out the epicarp. And what you eat in the mango? Mesocarp. In the mango, what you are eating? Mesocarp. And inside it, there is a endocarp, the stony part. The stony part is called as the endocarp, and inside the endocarp there is a seed. There is a seed. This is in the case of mango. Now let us see in the case of coconut. So if you have you seen the green coconut? Green coconut, green color that you drink that water. Okay. So the green coconut is having a very smooth outer covering. Smooth outer covering. That covering was epicarp. That covering was epicarp in the case of coconut. Yes, nariyal pani that we drink, right? And it is very nutritious. It is very nutritious. What is that actually? That nariyal pani? What is that coconut water actually? Coconut is not a parthenocarpic fruit. No, it is not a parthenocarpic fruit. It is not a parthenocarpic fruit. It do have seeds. Okay. So what is the actual that water? That is the endosperm. Nutrition. Nutrition to the embryo is provided by the endosperm. So liquid endosperm is there. And slowly, that endosperm, okay, that endosperm settle and it forms the part, white part there. Okay. So that is there. Okay. Coming back, you know what is pericarp in the coconut? The smooth green covering when the coconut is raw form. And when you take out that cover, you see this brown fibrous part, this brown fibrous hair-like structure that we call it fibers. And that is the mesocarp. That is the mesocarp. Okay. And just below the mesocarp, there is a stony, very hard covering, and that is called as endocarp. That is known as endocarp. So both are fruits, coconut fruit and mango fruit. But now you can see which is the pericarp, which is the mesocarp, which is the endocarp, and which is the epicarp. So pericarp is all the three parts unitedly called the wall of the ovary. Okay. And the pericarp can be divided into outermost epicarp, then mesocarp, then endocarp. And now you can imagine what is the epicarp in the case of mango and what is the epicarp in the case of coconut. What is mesocarp here? The edible part is mesocarp. And what is the edible part in the case of coconut? Okay, that is the endosperm. Endosperm. And the embryo is also there. At one point of this white covering, at this particular point, this end, there you see a very round shape thing, that is the embryo at the bottom. Okay, embryo is placed here, right? So all this, the embryo part, the endosperm, okay, collectively it is called as seed. So here it is mentioned as seed. Okay, here it is mentioned as seed, right? Okay. So now you know what is epicarp, mesocarp, endocarp. It is very, very important, right? So here in the case of mango also, How many carpels are there? Only one carpels. How many ovaries? Only one ovary. And only one seed is there. See, this is one seed. And in the case of coconut also, this is one seed, right? Okay. Both these fruits, the mango and the coconut, mango and coconut is called as drupe. Such type of fruits in which you see, okay, the seed, the stony seeds in the inside, and you can divide the pericarp into epicarp, mesocarp, and endocarp, right? That is called as drupe. They develop from the monocarpellary superior ovaries and are one-seeded. This is the feature of a drupe fruit, drupe type of fruit. There are many type of fruits, but in your book or in your syllabus, it is only drupe is mentioned. Okay. So again, you can see the figure that is called as drupe. So do remember the type of fruit the mango and the coconut have, that is called as drupe. In mango, the pericarp is well differentiated into outer thin epicarp, middle fleshy edible mesocarp, and an inner stony hard endocarp. So this line is very important. If you see the pericarp in the case of mango, you can see that there is an outer epicarp. The outer covering of the mango fruit is called as epicarp. While eating that part, you remove. And the part that you eat in the case of mango is the edible fleshy mesocarp, right? And an inner stony hard endocarp. What about in case of coconut? In coconut, which is also a drupe, coconut is also a type of drupe fruit only. But here the mesocarp is fibrous. The mesocarp is fibrous. See, this mesocarp is having this fibrous, and that is not edible part. That is not edible part. So it depends upon the fruits and fruits that though both are drupe, but here in the case of mango, mesocarp is edible, whereas in the case of coconut, that is also a drupe. But here, what is edible? Seed is edible. Seed is edible. Okay? Or you can say the endosperm is edible. Both are correct. But in the case of mango, the seed is not edible. The seed is not edible, right? Types of fruit. This topic is very, very important. Types of fruit. Actually, we have seen one of the type of fruit that is already called as parthenocarpic fruit. That is not formed, okay, with the help of fertilization. That is formed without fertilization. That is different. True fruit or eucarp. So this term eu, very important. Eukaryotic, eukaryotic, true nucleus. So here also eucarp means true fruits. Eucarp means true fruits. Okay. So eu means true. Is a ripened ovary. True fruit is always from the ripened ovary and only after fertilization. True fruit is always formed after the process of fertilization. And that you see in the case of mango, grapes, and so many fruits, right? The formation of fruit from other floral parts like thalamus, base of sepals, petals is termed as false fruit or pseudocarp. Very, very important. False fruit. Here comes the term false fruit. Means if the fruit is forming without ovary and the part that you are eating that is not ovary, then that is not a true fruit. For example, apple. You eat apple. Apple is not an ripened ovary. The part that you eat in the case of apple is thalamus or receptacle. That is the thalamus or receptacle. Then where is the ovary? The ovary is embedded inside the thalamus only. So here we will see. The false fruit ovary is embedded inside the thalamus. See, In the case of false fruit, the ovary sink inside the thalamus. It go deep. And what is that condition? Hypogynous, perigynous. And what is the third one? In which the ovary is embedded inside the thalamus and all the floral parts are above the thalamus or the ovary. So what is that? Epigynous. Yes. Here the condition is epigynous. So epigynous appear in the case of apple and pear. These are the two examples, right? Okay. False fruit formation takes place here. Fruit wall is the outer wall. What is the wall? That is the formation of the ovary wall is called as the fruit wall. So here you can see this is the true fruit. You are having the epicarp, that is the outermost, mesocarp, that is the fleshy part in the case of mango, and endocarp, that is the stony part, right? So that you understand. And this epicarp, mesocarp, endocarp unitedly it is called as pericarp. Now come to this apple. See, this part is the ovary. This part is the ovary. So here you can see this is the wall of the thalamus, fruit wall. Here you will not call it as a pericarp. Here this wall will be called as fruit wall, right? And here you can see this is the thalamus. Where is the epicarp? So this lining you see na, this lining, this like this. This is the epicarp. This is the epicarp. And here mesocarp. This one is the inside this there is a mesocarp. And inside that there is an endocarp. And inside the endocarp you will see the seeds. Right? So which part you are eating? You are eating the thalamus in the case of apple. And also in the case of strawberry also. So strawberry you see the seeds are embedded. Here you see the seeds are embedded. So this is one seed, second seed, third seed. And this is not a single carpel. This is not a single carpel. This is the strawberry which is having multicarpellary ovary. Multicarpellary. Many ovaries are there. Okay? And that is why it is called as achene. This fruit is called as achene. Why this is called as achene? This is not drupe. This is achene. Okay? A type of fruit where multicarpellary is there. Multicarpellary. Many carpels are there. What is the function? What is the definition of drupe here? Monocarpellary, single ovary. Okay? And only one seed is there. What about this strawberry? Many carpels you can see, and that is why every carpel will have one seed. And all the seeds you can see in the when you see the strawberry, you must have seen that small white colors are there at the surface of. So what are those? Those are the seeds, right? And what you eat? See here, it is mentioned here, achene. This is again the thalamus part. All the ovaries are embedded inside the thalamus. That is embedded inside the thalamus. So this is very important to understand types of fruit, true fruits and false fruit. I'm again coming to that. Okay, repeating that. True fruit is the fruit that is formed by the ovary, and false fruit that is formed by other part than the ovary. Basically, normally it is formed by the thalamus, but sometimes it is formed by the sepals, petals also, right? And here we are having the two examples, apple and pear, right? So sometime it may be asked in the examination, okay? They can just give the figure and they can mark the label A, B, C, D in the and give the figure of this apple. This is the cross section TS of the apple that could be given, and you have to mark A, B, C, D there, and you have to name what is A, what is B, and what is C. So today you all know this is the fruit wall. This is not a pericarp. This is not pericarp. This is fruit wall. The pericarp began here. The epicarp is there, the mesocarp is there, and the endocarp is there. So this part constitute the ovary, and the part that you eat in the case of apple or pear, that is the thalamus. The ovules after fertilization develops into the seeds. So ovary transformed into the fruit, and the ovules that is present inside the ovary after fertilization, it transformed into the fruits. It transformed into the fruits. A seed is made up of seed coat and an embryo. So now we will discuss about the seed. Okay, discuss about the seed. So if you see the seed structure, what you see, first of all, what structure you see? The seed is covered by a coat-like thing. It is having a covering, right? And that covering is called as seed coat. And there is also an embryo inside the seed. Inside the seed, there is an embryo. An embryo is made up of radicle. So coming to the embryo part, what this embryo is made up of? The embryo is made up of one part that is called as radicle that comes out at the time of germination and forms the root. An embryonal axis and one or two cotyledon. There is an embryonal axis. Okay, there is an axis, and this you will see in the case of wheat and maize. Only one cotyledon is there. Only one cotyledon, and that is called as monocot seed. Mono means one, cot means one cotyledon. So one cotyledon, okay, in the case of wheat and maize. All your cereals, the graminy family, you have to study about the Solanaceae family. Solanaceae family, right? You must have heard about the Brassicaceae family, Malvaceae family, right? So we are having one family in the monocot, and that is called as graminy. Your rice, wheat, maize, okay, most of the cereals belongs to that family only. Grasses are also belong to that family. Hmm? Your sugarcane belongs to that family, Graminy. Okay, very important family, monocot. Two cotyledons, dicot. As the name indicates, dicot. Di means two, and cot means cotyledon. So two cotyledon, as we see in the case of gram and pea. So whenever you take that rasma seed, okay, you can split into two parts. That cotyledon can be split into two parts. If you take the gram seed, that could also be split into the two parts. Pea, you can split into the two parts. So the seeds whose cotyledon can be split into the two parts, that is called as dicot seed. And the seed whose cotyledon cannot be split into the two parts, that is the monocot seed. Very simple. Okay. So take the rice seed in your hand, wheat seed in your hand, maize, and try to split. You won't be able to split. But take the gram seed, pea seed, rajma seed, and try to split. You can easily split that because already it is having the, yes, groundnut also. Very good. Groundnut. That is already having the two cotyledon, and it is having just one covering over it, that is called as seed coat. And at one point of the two cotyledon, you will see that there is a notch-like thing, where these two cotyledons are attached. Okay, they are attached at one particular point. At that point only, your embryo, the seed embryo, is present. And when this embryo will get sufficient moisture, air, suitable temperature, they will swells up. All the nutrient that is present inside the endosperm or the cotyledon, that will be given to that developing embryo. And slowly you will see that the radicle is emerging out. The plumule is emerging out. because the nutrient that is stored in the seed is now available and it is moving towards the developing embryo. Okay, so this is very, very important. This you will be able to understand when you will see the seeds. Yeah, when you will see the germinating seed. Try to do this at your home. Sometime we make sprouts at our home. We soak overnight the gram, okay, or the green moong dal to make the sprouts next day, right? So take those seeds and try to see the radicle, the embryo, the seed coat. You can do this at your home and then you will be able to understand the structure of seeds properly. Okay. Okay, moving forward. Structure of dicotyledonous seed. So first of all, we will see the structure of a dicotyledonous seed. The outermost covering of a seed is the seed coat. We all know there is a covering of the seed that is called as seed coat. And the seed coat has two layers. Very, very important point. There is a two layer, that is not one layer. The outer layer is called as testa, and there is one more layer that is called as tegmen. Very important. Tegmen. There is the hilum, is a scar. There is one structure that is called as hilum. When you see the seed, take the chana seed today and try to see all these things. Hilum is a scar on the seed coat through which the developing seeds were attached to the fruit. Actually, these seeds were attached where? Today you have last in class we have read about the placenta. The seeds are attached to the inside the ovary, either the central axis or the wall of the ovary or the margin of the ovary, right? So how they are attached? With the help of placenta. They are attached to the placenta. And there is a point of attachment. There is a point of attachment at the seed, not at the wall of the ovary, at the seed. That is called as hilum. And when you detach the seed, there you left a scar or a mark on it. That mark is called as hilum. Okay. So here you can see this is the seed coat, the brown cover, and this is the gram seed, chana seed, the brown cover. And here you can see there is a scar that is called as hilum. To this particular point, this is attached to the ovary wall, right? And what is the micropyle? What is micropyle? If you remember the structure of ovule, hmm? There is one opening. There is an integuments, right? There is an integuments that cover up the nucellus part. But at one particular point, the embryos, there is an opening, and that opening is called as micropyle. That opening is called as micropyle. And what is this? This seed coat, how it is formed? Integuments. Integuments. And how many integuments are there covering the embryo sac? Two integuments are there. Two integuments are there. So, we are having the two layers. Seeds coat has two layers. The outer integument is called as testa and the inner integument is called as tegmen, right? So everything is there. What you study is everything is explained. You can explain because you said, your ovule transformed into seed. So inside the ovule, there is an integument. So after the formation of seed, where this integument is gone? The integument is there. The outer one is called as testa after the formation of seed and the inner one is called as tegmen. But they are very tightly get fused together. They get fused together. So there is a micropyle. So there also you in the case of seed, you can see this is the region that is showing the micropyle. Okay. Now we will remove the cover of the seed coat And what you see, your chana or your gram seed, it is having this in this form. This is one cotyledon and this is the second cotyledon. At this particular point, you can see both the cotyledons are joined, right? And at the upper point, there is a plumule, and at the lower point, you can see there is a radical, right? Two cotyledon, and that is why it is dicot. Above the hilum is a small pore. Pore means opening, that is called as micropyle. And when you soak the seed in water, na, so water get enter inside the seed from where? From this micropyle only, right? So within the seed coat is the embryo. Within the seed coat is the embryo, consisting of an embryonal axis and the two cotyledons. The cotyledons are often fleshy and full of reserve food material. Okay, they are fleshy and they are having a lot of food material stored in it so that they could provide to the developing embryo when the seed is germinating. At the two ends of the embryonal axis are present the radical and the plumule. So this is the two part of the embryo only. So they are present at the embryonal axis. There is one axis that is called as embryonal axis, and this radical and plumules are arranged there. Seeds like castor have endosperm formed by the double fertilization storing the endospermic seed. Now we are having the two different types of seeds depending upon the endosperm is there or not, no endosperm is there. Okay, so the castor, they have endosperm formed by the double fertilization storing the food material in it, and that type of seed is called as endospermic seed. That type of seed is called as endospermic seed. And the seeds like bean, gram and pea, they lack endosperm. All the endosperm has already been used up. They have been already used up. Okay, and at maturity they are not having any endosperm there. It has been used up. So that type of seed is called as non-endosperm. So now you will say that where the nutrients is there. Now the nutrient is stored in the where? Cotyledons. They are stored in the cotyledons. Okay, because the nutrients were earlier in the endosperm also, but that nutrient got used up during the development of the seed, formation of the seed. Okay, so rest of the nutrient which is present, it is present in the case of cotyledon, not in the endosperm, in the non-endosperma seed. That is why it is called as non-endosperma. But some seeds do have endosperm full of nutrients, and that is called as endospermic seed. For example, castor. Now, structure of a monocotyledonous seeds. Generally, the monocotyledonous seeds are the endospermic, but some as in orchids are non-endospermic seeds. So this orchid is very, very famous. Their flowers are very beautiful, but they are monocotyledon. They comes under the monocotyledons. So mostly the monocotyledonous seeds are endospermic. They are endospermic. They are having the endosperm in it. So monocot seeds are endospermic, but there is one exception, the orchid seeds. Orchid seeds are though monocotyledon, but they are non-endospermic. In the seeds of the cereals, we are talking about the cereals such as maize, Zea maize. The seed's coat is membranous and generally fused with the fruit wall. Okay, the seed coat, we are talking about the seed coat. It is membranous, very thin, and it is generally fused with the fruit wall. See this thing. In the case of maize, the seed got fused with the fruit wall. So the endosperm is bulky and it stores a lot of food in it. The outer covering of the endosperm separate the embryo by a proteinaceous layer that is called as alluron layer. So here you can see this. This is the endosperm and this is the embryo part. this is the endosperm and this is the fruit wall. So that both got fused together. Now here you can see the endosperm. This is the seed. This is the endosperm and you can see there is an covering. There is a covering that is called as alluron layer. All around the endosperm, there is a covering that is called as alluron layer. Okay. And it is a proteinaceous layer. So very important. This layer is proteinaceous, full of protein. This layer, alluron layer. And this is the embryo part. The lower part, this is the embryo part. What you see here? You can see here plumule part. Plumule. This is the region of plumule. And the plumule is covered with a sheath-like thing. Sheath. Sheath means covering, a type of covering. So the plumule part is covered with a coleoptile. It is covered with a sheath-like coleoptile. And the radical part, you can see this is the lower radical part. And it is again covered with the sheath that is called as coleorhiza. That is called as coleorhiza. So two covering, one cover, the plumule part, coleoptile, and the radical covering that is called as coleorhiza. This scutellum, very, very important point. This is the cotyledon. This part is called as cotyledon of the monocotyledons. Monocotyledon. So only one cotyledon and that is in the form of embryo situated in a groove. Groove means it is shifted to one side at one end of the endosperm. Just now we have seen in the figure. It consists of shield-shaped scutellum, okay, and a short axis with a plumule and a radical. The plumule and radical are enclosed in a sheath which is called as coleoptile and coleorhiza respectively. Just now we have seen, okay. So this is the, so you can see this whole embryo part is shifted to one side. Okay, it is shifted to one side of the or one end of the endosperm. And here you can see the shield shaped. Shield means that one protect something. So what this scutellum is doing, it is protecting this whole embryonal axis, right? And it is also providing the nutrient from the endosperm is passed to the scutellum and then it is passed to the plumule and radical part, right? Now we will summarize today's lecture. Fruit developed from the mature ovary after the fertilization. Function. What is the function of seed protection and dispersal? Fruit is the function of this fruit is to protect the seed which is present inside the fruit only. And it is also dispersed. When you eat fruit, you throw the seed here and there. So that you are doing the dispersal. And how the seed got dispersed? Because of the fruit. Because you are eating the fruit, not for the seed, for the fruit, because that is your food, right? Important for reproduction and survival. It is very important for reproduction and also for the survival of survival of that plant. The next generation will come only when you will sow the seeds, na? And that is present where? Inside the fruit. Now, we will talk about the seed, summarize the seed. Fertilized ovule contains the embryo. This is the fertilized ovule is called the seeds. Part, seed coat, cotyledon, embryo. These are the three different parts. And we are having two different types of seeds, monocot, dicot. Detailed structure we have seen here, okay? Important for the species continuation. Now we are having one question here, NCERT based question. How do false fruit develop differently from the true fruits? Provide examples of false fruit and explain why they are classified as such. Very important question, right? Let us see the answer of this. Development of false fruit. False fruit develop from the parts of the flower other than ovary. It is not always that the ovary will only form the fruit. Sometimes other parts also forms the fruit, right? So unlike true fruits which develop only from the ovary. And if you say why this apple is having such thalamus as a fruit? Because of the condition of that flower. Perigynous, epigynous, hypogynous. You have studied now? So in case of perigynous, the ovary is embedded. It is because of that. Because the ovary is inside the thalamus. So where the fruit, the food which is extra formed in the plant is transported where? It is transported to the thalamus, right? And thalamus gets swelled up. So that you take as a food. That forms the fruit, right? So it is because of that type of arrangement of the floral parts on the thalamus. Very important, right? The edible portion of the false fruit can develop from the various floral parts such as receptacle, peduncle or bracts. The development process involves the enlargement and the modification of these non-ovarian floral parts, while the true fruit develops from the matured ovary of a flower after fertilization. True fruit is always from the ovary only after fertilization. Apple, the fleshy part is developed from the enlarged floral receptacle. So, apple is formed from the receptacle or the thalamus part. Strawberry, enlarged receptacle. This receptacle is large, very enlarged. And all multicarpellary ovary is there. All the ovaries are embedded on this thalamus. Pear, similar to the apple, the flesh develops from the flower receptacle. The flesh means that the part that you eat. Cashew, in Hindi we say kaju. The cashew apple is swollen peduncle, flower stalk, peduncle part. Okay. Next question. Differentiate between the endospermic seed and non-endospermic seed in the tabular form. So here is the comparison. Seeds that retain endosperm tissue at maturity, endospermic seed. Seeds that lack endosperm at maturity. At maturity, there is no endosperm left. So that is non-endospermic seed. Food storage. Food is stored in the endosperm tissue because endosperm is there. Food is stored in the cotyledon because endosperm nutrition is already being used up. Okay. Cotyledon nature. Thin and membranous cotyledon. Here, thick and fleshy cotyledons. Examples. Castor maize. You have seen in the case of maize, the cross section which I have shown you, there is a proper, more than half of the seed is covered by the endosperm. And there is a scutellum part. Scutellum is very small part. So, the membranous cotyledon is there in the case of maize, wheat, rice and barley. Thick and fleshy cotyledon in the case of pea, beans, groundnut and mustard. Endosperm persist until the seed germination. So, there is a remnant of the endosperm. Endosperm is consumed during the seed development. Nutrient transfer. Nutrients move from endosperm to the embryo during the process of germination. And in the case of non-endosperm seeds, nutrients are already stored in the cotyledon. Size of the embryo, generally smaller, very small, and generally larger in the case of non-endospermic seed. Seed weight, usually lighter and usually heavier. Germination time generally takes longer to germinate and they take faster. They germinate faster. Common in mostly monocot and some dicots, whereas non-endospermous seeds are mostly dicot. Now we are having some keynotes. Simple fruit developed from monocarpellary or multicarpellary or syncarpous ovary. Types of simple succulent fruits. So you are having the drupe, that is one type of simple fruit that we see in the case of mango, Mangifera indica. Now we are having the Hesperidium. Hesperidium, lemon and orange. You can see the fibers. In the case of lemon and orange, the fibers are there. And these fibers are having full of juices in it. Okay, Hesperidium. Pome, apple and pear. Berry, guava and tomato. Balusta, pomegranate and papo, cucumber. These are the different types of fruit. But in your syllabus, only the drupe and achene is there. Achene in the case of strawberry. So it is mentioned there. So don't miss out that. Composite fruit develop from the complete inflorescence. So here you can see the inflorescence is not there. Okay, one flower is there. And here it is complete inflorescence. So types of composite fruit. Cyconus in the case of people, banyan and fig. And sorosis, mulberry, pineapple, jackfruit. Multiple, it is formed from the full inflorescence transformed into the fruit. Because in the inflorescence, many fruit flowers are there, right? Some interesting question for you. Describe the structure of the seed coat in a dicotyledonous seed. This is one question. What are the function of each layer of fruit wall? Epicarp, mesocarp, endocarp. And last question, explain the importance of hilum and micropyle in seed development and germination. Okay. So this is all about today's session. Thank you very much.